Next to that bit.
Right, hasn't been here.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Second here. I'll call us to order. You all set? All right, I'd like to call to order the meeting of Newburyport Historical Commission. It's Thursday, February 12th, 2026. We're here in the Senior Community Center in Newburyport, and we're also on Zoom. And just note, this meeting, like all city meetings, is being recorded. Start with roll, Andrew Bernard.
Here.
Mark Sandro. Scott Clark.
Yes.
Christopher Fay. Here. Alan Markey.
Here.
Ed Norman.
Here.
Thank you. And Glenn is not here. Chris Sauta here. And the chair, that's me, Vic House is here as well. Got a quorum. Also, got Caitlin Sullivan here from the planning department and our note taker. Let's enjoy. We'll start off, we have, just as a note, we have quite a large agenda for us. So I'd like to keep things as tight as possible. But get started, we have 4 different demolition delays starting off 29 Oakland Street. Yeah, anywhere you're comfortable over here. Or you can talk to us and see, and if you want to get up and point, you can do that as well. And
Thank you.
when you're ready, just give your name and address.
Sure. Vaughn Alley, 35 High Street. I'm here for Joppa Design. My husband and I started the company back in 1998 doing design and construction in Newburyport. I'm here with the owners of the property, Allison McGrath and Brian Doherty. And what we would like to do is they live in so the property is a cape on the district data sheets. It's listed as an 1860 A stylistic Victorian. There's been confusion as to where those definitions come from, but we're not sure if maybe some gingerbreading had been taken off over previous years. But that's what's on the sheets. And what we're proposing that we would like to do is on actually the back side. We can go to the site plan, back to the site plan, please. So there's a large single story porch that's on the back that seems to have been, there's no record, but it seems to have been built in the 1970s, maybe as late as the 1980s. So we would like to remove that and replace it with a new 2-story addition. And so if we slide through to the back of the house, please. So that's the addition, the porch. And then there are some photos of the inside of it to give you an idea of where we came up with the age, since there's no building permit data pulled for it. So we would like to replace that with a new 2-story addition that's more in keeping with the character of the house. Siding would stay shingles, we would match what's continuing on there. And then at the side of the house, the only other thing on the demolition delay is on the side of the house. If we go back to the front elevations, please. And on the side here, there's a 1-story addition that was put on about 1980s. We're suspecting again from the construction in the basement. If you could go to that next exterior shot, please. Yeah, right here. So it currently has a very low hip roof, and we'd like to replace that with a shed roof that would be more in character with the rest of the house, the shed dormers and the back of the house.
Right. So just procedurally, what we're going to be doing is first just making a determination of the significance, of historically significant, and if it's preferably preserved.
Certainly.
And then if we get through that, then we'll take a full look at your plans and
Sure.
after that. Any questions, comments to start off with the board about the history of it? Myself, I'm just kind of curious because we looked and there was a date of 1800 on one sheet and there's 1860s or something like that somewhere else. I mean, to me, it almost looks more like a early 1900s
Yeah.
building.
I was surprised by I had seen both of those dates and I was surprised that it was early, before the 1900s myself doing the research.
I can't see an 1800s building in there, but certainly late 1800s could be a possibility. I could see of having some carpenter details in there. So if there's no other comments or questions from the board, we could make a motion that the structure, we can put them together. I think that's the way we've been most likely to do it, or we have before, that the structure is historically significant and considered for preservation. If anyone wanted to make a motion in that regards, or just to break them apart, you could do that as well. But
I'll move that's historically significant and preferably preserved.
Should be
considered.
should be considered for preservation.
Considered for preservation.
Right. So motion that the structure is historically significant and considered for preservation. Anyone second that?
I second.
Ed?
Yes.
All right, so yeah, motion that the structure at 29 Oakland Street is historically significant and should be considered for preservation. Andrew Bernhardt?
I'm gonna abstain from all votes.
All right, thank you.
I'm a neighbor.
Let's see. Scott Clark,
Yes.
Chris Fay,
Yes.
Alan Markey,
Yes.
thank you. Ed Norman,
Yes.
Chris Hotel,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well, so that motion passes. So now we can review your plans for the building.
Okay. So what we're, the three areas are replacing a front shed roof dormer with a wider one. We would be going for the shed roof dormer. Again, I couldn't find any history as to when that was built. It looks, because it's in keeping with the rest of the construction around the house, I'm assuming around the late 1970s or early 80s. But we would keep the shed roof style and extend it 3 bays, 3 window bays, so the details would still be in keeping with what's there existing. We would be going to approximately 22 feet wide. And then on the back of the house, replacing again that single story porch room with a 2-story addition that maintains the style, character, and roof lines of the main house. And then on the other side, going from the low hip roof on that single story bump out to a shed roof that's more in keeping with the rest of the house style.
Anything else?
Okay. It's pretty straightforward. Though.
Okay.
Is the 1-story a shed or is it just flat roof?
This would be a shed, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's right now a really low hip.
And the siding that's currently on there is like a shingle style, and you're keeping that, or
Yeah, we'd
is
be extending that.
it new shingling, but like same look as what's currently there?
Yes,
Okay. Any other questions, comments from the board?
I think it's an improvement in the back. I don't like the shed dormer in the front. I think the dormer that's there now looks odd. I'm not sure we're improving it, and I don't need to go to mine. I just like the dormer, especially in the front of the house. And that would be my only concern. It looks like a mess back there. And I would just say this, like, if we're saying it was built sometime, the back sort of porch, whatever we want to call it, was built in the 1980s, let's say. We'll consider that a mistake.
yeah.
I don't want
I
to,
would,
yeah, and I've said this before, and like, mistakes are relative to like whenever they built it, they didn't go, we're making a mistake, right? They built, I don't want to keep compounding these mistakes because we're gonna see these, looks like all night. By putting something on the front of the house that doesn't really fit. And then later on, 20 years, 30 years down the road, somebody goes, we want to take this off, and you know what I mean. I think we want to limit the mistakes. We want to restore the house to whatever it possibly, whatever style it is. It's really unclear. It's a cute little house. I'm not sure. I know that living space wise it was, but architecture, I don't think it needs adorning.
Yeah, and it is a combination of the two, right? So we're trying to maintain, taking a very modest house and keeping it modest, not doing an addition that would overpower the house or the character of the neighborhood, but giving them as much usable floor space as possible, for a growing family. And so the idea of continuing the shed dormer, which may not originally be in keeping with what I'll call a cape or asymmetric Victorian, according to the district sheet, it allowed us to continue the shed dormers on the back as well, so that we were maximizing floor space that's usable, that otherwise prohibits the second floor from being very usable space because the roof line is so high pitched and starts at such a low point. So to your point, I do understand what you're saying. It does allow us to maximize the rooms, floor space in those bedrooms in the front, and what my goal was to obviously not extend it completely out to make the front of the house a box, because I would never want to do that. So I was trying to keep it in balance.
Yeah, I think what we're reacting to is also the kind of rules of how we look at these dormers. One of the things is they generally shouldn't be more than about 15 feet or 80% of the width of a building. So that it's really pushing it there. And also I think the skylight on the top of it is pretty problematic for me. But I think the big thing is that by extending that, I think that small dormer, to me, it almost feels like it could have been original. Having not seen the construction, I have no idea, but I like that it's keeping this kind of cottage feel to the building. And when you remove the chimney and then extend that thing across, I think it's really changing the character of the front of the home, which is obviously the most visible. I agree. I think the stuff in back is pretty well handled, and is tasteful, and is underneath and behind the building appropriately. But I do have a problem with just kind of overall size, and especially the added light on top of the roof of that dormer. It goes against kind of what we're supposed to look at when applying dormers historically. Anyone have any other comments?
Yeah, I was gonna say also, I agree with Chairman Baus, but the chimney's gonna get taken down?
The chimney is deteriorating and it's not
Deteriorating.
currently, yeah.
Right. Was that to a furnace, or is there mantelpieces on the inside?
There's
Or?
no mantles,
None.
nothing.
Okay, interesting. It's deteriorated, yeah, it's falling
Yeah,
apart.
it's taking up closet space.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Did look at other styles of dormers for the front, and in my opinion, such as like a Nantucket style dormer that would break up the wall line. I feel like at times those are overused, and it felt like it was kind of forcing a character onto this house that it wouldn't originally have. So I was trying to keep it. My thought was to just keep it simple.
Yeah.
I
I can also see like a set of small,
gables.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that too, I felt like that was then putting so much character in a place where it didn't. I mean, in my opinion, looking at the house and looking at the historical data sheets of it, it just had a clean roof.
Yeah.
So I was trying to keep it as in keeping with that would not draw away from the first floor,
Sure.
which to me was the important massing of the front of the house.
Yeah, absolutely.
I felt like if you're adding a lot of character up top, then you're starting to distract from the main house itself.
And is the shed dormers, is it coplanar with the front of the house and the back of the house? In other words, like the front of those dormers, are they in line parallel with
Oh, yes, and then the roof, there's significant roof overhang,
Right,
so
okay,
the roof breaks it up. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was trying to keep with the modest nature of the original house and not put any character on top of it that it
Sure.
wouldn't have had.
Sure, I can see that. I do, I mean, I think, you know, if that size of shed were to stay, I think that the skylight is, to me, it's just not.
Yeah.
It's not the place for it. I can understand it, but I think that would look like a mistake to future selves, to put that there.
Understood. The goal there was, well, obviously with skylights too, right?
Yeah.
So we were trying to get light into
No,
the interior stairwell,
totally
but
get
I
it.
understand where
Totally get it.
you're coming from.
But just in general, we'd like to, if we're doing that stuff, we're trying to keep it away from, you know, from the public view.
Is it possible to move the skylight to the back?
It wouldn't bring light to the stairwell,
Hmm.
unfortunately. We do have one other skylight on the project, which is on the side, into a bathroom that cannot otherwise get a window or any natural light without affecting the original main roof line, so that's where that, yeah, right now. That's where that skylight comes in.
Yeah.
So I wanted to maintain the eaves and not propose anything that would break up the form of the house, the main house.
Other comments? Scott,
I find it satisfying.
you find it satisfying?
Yeah, I'm appreciative of the fact that even though it's a, what did you say, 21-foot dormer, it pulls in and it, you know, it's, you didn't try to run it to the end. And the fact that it's got a heavy eave line, even though it's coplanar, it reads okay to me.
Appreciate that.
What about the skylight?
Yeah, I mean, I don't share the concerns, but I think probably if the skylight were to go away, I would be in favor of that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes. So I'm just thinking back on a few other things that we've reviewed over time and trying to keep the dormers out of really the street view if we can, and to minimize them. And I think the original dormer that's there now definitely gives it the cottage look. But this one definitely takes a certain to a certain degree takes it away from that, because the cottage, really the focus of the house currently is like that lower level first floor, very cottagey look. That dormers, it seems to be a decent size to me. So I would be, I guess, hesitant. I don't know if there would be some way to build off the back further to create more room and leave that roof line the way it is. But I know we've you know gone through this a number of times on of homes that we're trying to sort of keep them off the street if we can. That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, yeah, I had a question. The dormer in the front. You said I believe that came much later on.
The single dormer, yeah.
Yeah. How do you know that?
I don't know it for, well, I think.
I mean, as a builder, I'm obviously, I was just curious on what you found or what sort of evidence,
No, that's good.
that said so.
I'm sorry.
I said only because if it turned out that it was an original feature, it'd be a shame to lose it, obviously. That's why I was curious how you would determine that it had come later.
It was based on the construction, looking at the way that it's detailed, the roof and inside. I think it looks like it was popped in on there, to be honest, for a lack of technical term.
But it's all finished on the inside with like plaster or whatnot on the walls. You didn't see beyond it, like.
Did not do an exploratory, no.
Okay.
No.
All right.
And to answer, I think, a question that came up, it would be with the proposed addition, a modest 3-bedroom house. The 2 bedrooms are in the front, the 2 existing bedrooms are in the front of the house, that are very small and a very, very small amount of standing space, which was the goal of the dormer, is to improve on that. So it's not, so making the addition on the back larger would not help those 2 bedrooms.
Any other comments? Well, we're looking, I guess next, if someone wants to make a motion that the structure at 29 Oakland Street is properly preserved.
Wait, did we not,
What's that?
did we not already make that motion?
No, no, the motion was that it's historically significant and should be considered for preservation. If it's properly preserved, that puts it under the demo delay, and then we can. If we want to approve and lift it, then we can do that, or if we don't think it's properly preserved, then it can go build whatever they need to. So if anyone wants to make that,
And public comment as well.
okay, all right, do we have anyone online? If there's anyone here present who would like to, this is our public comment period, so if you want to speak about this particular motion or this particular structure, you could do this so now. If there's anyone online, you could raise your hand and not seeing anyone? You,
I just,
sure, if you can give your name and address.
my name's Richard Bruin, I live at 82 High Street. I just want to say that with regard to what I can't tell from the visuals, that my experience with Joppa design has been that they're very true to historical style and they're, you know, that if things were sitting in the balance, I would find the balance to go to Joppa design because of their history and what I've seen that they've done in the past. That's all.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else?
We do have letters of support from neighbors that, yeah, I don't know if you would like those entered or
Sure. Were they not on our record already?
were they not, they were not on the
Okay.
record currently. Would you like me to read just who they're from?
Sure.
The names and addresses, or, so we have, letters from, Tom and Ann Conley at 27 Oakland Street, Abby and Kristen Edwards at 35 Oakland, Michelle Grant at 31 Oakland, Joe and Sabrina Kelly at 3 Oakland, and Ann Millis at 20 Oakland.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Well, if there's no other public comments, I'll close that. Yeah, I guess we can go back to unless there's any more questions or comments from the board, we could get a motion that the structure is preferably preserved.
Are we saying at this point that the dormer as it's presented is okay?
We're not. I mean, we're voting whether it's preferably preserved or not. So if it is preferably preserved, then if they'd be under the demo delay, and if we want to approve this design or ask them to make amendments, we could do that. But if we don't,
Okay,
if we don't vote that it's preferably preserved, then they can build as they wish, and they don't need our further input.
I'll make a motion as preferably preserved.
Thank you, sir. If we have a second,
I'll second it.
thank you. All right, the motions that the structure at 29 Oakland Street is preferably preserved. Andrew Bernard. You're abstaining. Scott Clark,
No,
Chris Fay,
Yes.
Alan Markey,
Yes.
Ed Normer. Oh, sorry. Oh, yes. Ed Normer,
No.
Chris Sautel,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. So that motion passes and the structure is preferably preserved and now under demolition delay. We want to discuss the plan as it is, we can do that. Thoughts?
Two dormers that size doesn't work, is that what you're saying? So if you take the original dormer, copy it, slide them apart, so that they're balanced.
So the size of the dormer that's there is bringing light into the room. It's not adding any standing space in the room.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is if you remove that dormer and then replace it with two identical dormers. Just in that same scale. Right,
This dormer here.
yeah, so if we put
Three
them,
dormers.
if we balance them, not three, just
Oh,
two.
just two.
Just two, because if we're gonna do three, we may as well keep what your plan is. Just do two, does that work space wise?
It doesn't do anything space wise. It brings light into the rooms that they would otherwise not. So right now, this window is bringing light into the stairwell.
Okay,
The two bedrooms have no light from Upland Street.
right, and it would provide some space
Standing at the window,
as standing up.
no furnishable space.
Can we see a back elevation?
And if I can add, one of the reasons why we were, and I understand that it's a guesstimate, we're estimating the age of the front dormer is the dormer that's on the back was clearly put there for a bathroom that was added to the second floor. And so my deductions and talking to my husband about it was the front one was probably added at the same time because they match. And the bathroom is from no earlier than the 1970s, maybe late 60s, but given the age of all the other construction that was added onto the house. So that was a big part of why I was kind of putting an age to the dormer.
It also does look like, from the outside, it's collaborative and not, it doesn't have the shingle treatment that the rest of the house does currently, right?
The dormer,
Right.
yeah,
Which may indicate a different age, but.
Yeah.
Do the bedrooms right now are they gable end?
Oh, yeah.
And it runs to. like
about,
a 4 foot knee
I think it's
wall?
like 20 inches off the floor, yeah. Yeah, it's very steep.
I guess is, essentially what we need to do is, the home is now under demo delay. If you want to move on with something, we would need to approve those plans. So if somebody wants to make a motion to approve the plans as it is, and we can run a vote on that, or if somebody wants to make a motion to make some sort of amendment, we can do that as well, or we could ask they come back with some changes. Those are, as I see, our options.
If I
My
could say,
question would be, do we feel like the dormers take away from like the historical or the architectural original look of the building? Of the house?
Well, I mean, I think for me, it's still the fact that the way, that we need to be thinking about the treatment of dormers, this is that the size of that dormer is, against kind of what our principle should be when we're looking at dormers. But I think that and the skylight are my biggest problems anyways with it.
my impulse is that you always want to give the homeowner, it's not an outsized, out of scale solution,
Right.
and I would be perfectly satisfied to lose a skylight and make a motion.
That's an option if you want to, if you can make that motion.
Will I make a motion to accept as is with the exception of removing the skylight?
Okay. So there's a motion on the table to approve the demolition plan with the change of not including the skylight on that front dormer and lift the demo delay for the structure at 29 Oakland Street. Someone like to second that?
I'll second it.
All right. All right, so the motion is to approve the demolition plan with the removal of the skylight. And lift the demo delay for the structure at 29 Oakland Street. Does that sound correct? All right, Scott Clark,
Yes.
Chris Fay,
Yeah,
Alan Markey,
Yes.
let's see, Ed Normer,
Yes.
Chris Hotel,
We'll go with yes.
I'm gonna vote no. However, it's 4 yeas and 2 nays, so that passes, and that means demo delay is lifted, and your plans are approved, just as long as that skylight is removed.
At the front skylight.
Yeah,
All right, thank you very much for your time.
all right, thank you so much. All right. 78 High Street is our next demolition delay hearing applicant. Resolution back. Oh, but I'm going off script. Hello.
Good evening, everybody. Scott Robb, architect, and here representing Ben and Kelsey Keller, who are the new owners of 78 High Street. They purchased this property in December. They are a young couple with a rapidly growing family, and they're into the old house thing. And this is going to be a long-term project for them, a long-term estate home. This is a classic federal style house built in 1808, which was really towards the end of the federal architecture period. It is in a very prominent location on the corner of High and Federal, and I think there's no question as to the historical significance of this structure. So I think with that, I'll let you folks take your vote.
Yeah, I can pass it around the room if anyone has any comments, but otherwise I would take
I think we can vote.
a motion. And if you'd like, I wish I had my script and my battery hadn't died. Maybe I can get to it here.
you combine all three? Are we allowed to do that?
No, we can do the first, we can do the first two, then it's public. Don't have to have a public meeting after that. But we can make a motion that the structure at 78 High Street is historically significant and should be considered for preservation, if anyone would like to make that motion.
I make the motion and I'm back.
Anyone like to second that?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All right, motion that the structure at 78 High Street is historically significant and should be considered for preservation. Andrew Bernard.
Yes.
All right, Scott Clark.
Yep.
Chris Fay.
Yes.
Alan Markey.
Yes.
Ed Neumer.
Yes.
Chris Hotel.
Yes.
I vote yes as well, so that motion passes. So now we can continue with the demolition
Right.
plan.
So these are the existing photos of the house, and it does have a High Street address, but the actual front entrance of this is on Federal Street. It's taken me a little while to sort of wrap my head around that. So that photo on the top right-hand corner, that's sort of the front elevation on Federal Street, and that door leads to sort of a classic sort of Federal style stair hall. The photo of the High Street elevation is immediately to the left of that, so that door also leads to another sort of major stair hall, but not quite as formal as the one on Federal Street. The photo in the bottom left-hand corner is taken with sort of our back to the Merrimack River, looking towards High Street. In the center of that photo is the location where we're doing the majority of our work on this project. And in the lower right-hand corner, this is taken sort of from the front left corner. If you consider High Street, the front of the house. And there's a single-story addition there, which I'll show you in plan format, which I don't believe was part of the original box of this house, and is on top of that addition, which we're overlaying a new roof, which is triggering the roof line change. Next slide, please. So this is our proposed site plan. Federal Street is on the right, High Street is on the bottom. The shaded area is where we are proposing a new single-story addition. These two areas here in the corner, this is a two-story addition. This is that single-story addition, which I was just pointing out in the existing photograph. Both of those first started showing up on the 1914 Sanborn map, or at least this clearly showed up on that map, and at least a portion of this showed up on that map as well. So I think this section is significantly older than 1914, but I don't quite have an idea as to when that first showed up. So this is a rather large parcel. It's a rather large house, and one of the goals of this project is to have a new kitchen that's sort of connected to the larger part of this house. So the only kitchen that's in this house is in this very, very small, it's sort of in this small area right there. So we're relocating that kitchen, and we're relocating it to an area where there's currently a dining room. So part of this project is an addition, which is going to be a dining room in the backyard, but it's also a feature. These folks like to entertain and really are looking for something special in the back. Next slide, please. So a couple of floor plans. I normally don't like to talk about floor plans or even show them, but I think in this instance, it's helpful for the commission to sort of understand what we're doing and in terms of roof line change, how minor it actually is. This is a project that's currently under construction. I think for the most part, it's interior demolition. We do have a full building permit for this, which includes this addition, but it is for a slightly different proposal, a slightly different roof line. Because we first started out with a roof line that didn't involve a roof line change in being here tonight. And but I wasn't quite comfortable with sort of the compromises we were making in order to do that. And given this winter we've been having, I was a little nervous about its ability to sort of shed ice and water. So we came up with this proposal, which is sort of a little bit cleaner. And so on the left side, you'll see sort of two shaded areas. The lighter gray is our new roofs, our additions. The darker gray is that existing sort of L-shaped one-story addition, not original to the 1808 box, that sort of engages that left corner. And then it's hard to see here on the screen, but there's a little hatched area right here. And that is the section we're actually overlaying on top of the existing roof, triggering sort of this roof line change. So these are the proposed second floor plan, existing second floor plan on the right. This house does have 3 chimneys. One of them either has been removed or the plan is to remove that chimney. And it's this one here. And I'll just show that to you in the next, if you go to the next slide. So this is the elevation as we see it from High Street, and we're doing very little work to the High Street and Federal Street side of the house. So there's 2 things that we're doing on this elevation. One is the removal of that chimney, and since this house has 2 sort of very prominent, very classic Federal style chimneys on the Federal Street side, I really felt that this was not a significant character defining feature of the house and could be removed. I would strongly disagree if we were removing either one of the chimneys on the Federal Street side. So that's part of the plan. And the only other thing we're doing on this elevation in the lower left-hand corner here is, we are removing and, infilling a window. Next slide, please. So front elevation of the house, as you can see it from Federal Street, absolutely no changes here, not proposing to do anything with windows, anything with trim. We're not even, repainting the house, in this phase, so this will remain as is. Next slide, please. So, rear elevation, looking towards High Street with our back to the river, and, right there in the center is your first glimpse of what this sort of, dining room addition looks like in the middle. And, sort of conservatory-like and really trying to sort of, there's a lot going on back there, with these sort of later additions to the house. And we're really trying to sort of place this in a way where, place this in a spot where it really has very little impact on sort of the existing sort of, historic fabric of the house. And we also wanted to sort of be, kind of an addition that has sort of three sides of glass and really a feature. So that's largely why we are placing it where it is. So also on this elevation, you'll note, like on the third floor, we are removing two windows and replacing it with one window in the middle. One of those windows that we're removing is that we're hoping to repair it, because this house has all of the original windows. And we're hoping to, one of those windows that we're removing, we're hoping to reuse it in that new location. Next slide, please. There's a couple of elevations, you know, showing the side elevations of this dining room addition. You can start to see sort of an existing roof line in here. This is that later addition that started showing up on the 1914 Sanborn map. And this is the area where we're actually doing our roof overlay. The next slide, please. And just to look at like what this would look like from Federal Street, gonna be highly visible. We're really excited about the project and yeah, hopefully everyone else is as well. So with that, I'll get back to you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
Yeah, why are you taking the chimney down?
It's a good question. So, place where we're moving the chimney is actually where the new kitchen is going. So the challenge with these houses is that there are a lot of windows. There are a lot of openings. And so when you're doing a new kitchen, you need some wall space. So it's critical that we actually remove it in order to be able to have enough wall space in the kitchen for some cabinets.
So are there more than one fireplaces connected?
Yeah, if you could just go back, Caitlin, go back to the floor plan.
I thought I did see that.
Right here. So, yeah, so if you can just imagine what, like, so here's a good example. Like, this is the second floor, not where we're putting your kitchen, but High Street, you know, so we've got, you know, two windows here. On the first floor, there's an opening here, opening here, opening here, opening here, and there's a chimney. So you think about like how you put a kitchen in that space. And this chimney is also long since been abandoned. You know, both the chimneys at the front of the house are still operable, and there's still some, I think there's some mechanical venting that goes through those. So, yeah, ultimately we thought it was sort of like a necessary sacrifice in order to make the larger plan work.
Just for my own curiosity, the first floor flanking rooms off the main hallway are both bedrooms, or is that a second floor?
This is the second floor. Yeah, so first floor, yeah, Federal Street, classic stair hall and parlor and kind of another living area, yeah.
Okay.
All right, any other questions we can open up for public comment?
Yeah, I have a couple more.
Okay.
This is, I was more curious of this, I'm very familiar with federal houses. That, the High Street side facade, where there's the left, do you think, I mean, this is, I'm still out of my curiosity, do you think that piece was built you think that piece was built after the original one that's on the Federal Street facade? Or what do you think? I mean, I was just looking, I'm just.
We
just
talking
curious.
talking about this section?
Yeah, how the house is kind of like an L,
Yeah,
right? Federal Street and then High Street on this side. Do you think that piece was built later, or do you think it was all built at once?
I think the original footprint was an L, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so.
and then there's clearly like this section here where we're removing that window and infilling it. I think that was a later addition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
my best guess is that later addition, that's 19th century, but not original. To the house.
You think the entrance was originally put on Federal Street? Is there like a
Yeah, it's clearly, yeah, that's the front entrance to the house, yeah, so,
more fashionable
But I
to be on
think it-
Federal Street at that time instead of High Street?
yeah.
It's typically, you
It's
see,
not at all, you know?
it's typically you see Federalists that either be 2 rooms over 2, or there'd be 4 over 4, like a square.
Right,
L,
yeah,
it's unusual. That was just a thought that I had. That's all. I was just curious.
and I guess. I mean, maybe they were just trying to address the corner and they realized they had some design challenges in trying to address the corner at the time, so. You know, that might have been where the L came from.
Interesting.
Yes, research to do.
So the,
Yeah,
the new addition,
Yeah.
will you be able to see High Street per se? Or maybe just a
No.
little
No,
corner?
no, it's entirely from Federal.
But you see 2 rooms over 2.
Yeah, clearly, if you go back to
Yeah, that was quite a,
Yeah.
quite a prominent view.
Right.
Much more.
Yeah, it's gonna be highly,
Yeah, I went just straight up like that.
highly visible.
Or maybe it started off like this and then later it's gonna move into something. I don't know. Let's see.
All right, well, do you have any more comments, Chris?
No.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's all right. Anyone here in the room have public comment?
I just wanna make a
Sure.
comment, I'm not on this project, but I happen to know the owner before this most recent owner, Jane Nelson, who used to own this house. And I've been in it, and it was clear from Jane, who was an amazing historian, that side area is a later added addition where she had her little kitchen in there. It was clearly a later added addition, to the house, and she told me that, so,
You mean the little one story?
yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
I just wanted to clarify this real quick. You said there's already a building permit, construction's already started, you've decided to change the roof line. With a little sort of piece
Midstream.
midstream
Yeah,
for practical reasons.
Yep.
And we're really just looking at this sort of overlap. Or are you changing that kitchen? Changing the entire roof line, or just, I thought I heard you say just where it
yeah. we can-
intersects the
Yeah.
proposed
Go
new
back
addition.
to yeah, it's a very, very small area.
Okay, all right.
And, it's very hard to see if you're up on the screen.
The process has already started though.
The work.
The work has
Yeah.
already
None of the
started.
exterior work has been.
Right,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
just strictly internal demo.
Okay.
Go back to the plan.
No one else?
Comment?
Yeah, is anyone else online? If anyone's online would like to make a comment, you could raise your hand. No one else here? No one's going twice, all right, I'll close public comment then, Right, so I guess, let's see, we need. A motion that the structure at 78 High Street is preferably preserved.
I make a motion.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Is that Ed?
Yes.
Thank you, Ed. All right, motion that the structure at 78 High Street is perfectly preserved, Andrew,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Chris Fay,
Yes.
Alan Markey,
Yes,
Ed Neuner,
Yes.
Chris Vitale,
Yes.
and Chair votes yes as well, so that motion passes and technically under a demo delay, we can immediately entertain a motion to approve these plans if someone would like to, or anyone else has any other comments?
Motion to approve.
All right, motion to approve demolition plan and lift the demo delay for the structure at 78 High Street. Anyone want to second that?
Sure, yes.
Thank you, Scott. All right, motion to approve the demolition plan and lift demo delay for the structure at 78 High Street. Andrew,
Yes.
let's see, Scott Clark,
Yes.
Chris Fay,
Yes.
Alan Markey,
Yes.
Ed Normer,
Yes.
Chris Littell,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. So that motion passes. You're all set.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Are you excited about this one?
I think it's sort of great.
The house is very nice.
Must be kind of cool to work on something like that.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. I think one time years ago, we were here with another project on High Street that had some similarities to this. And it was Joe Morgan, one of the former commissioners, who was disappointed that he was not going to be able to see it because it was actually behind a 6-foot fence. So this is gonna be very different. Yeah.
I guess we should have requested a site visit then. Oh, well. With orders.
Right, they like that entertaining.
They like that container, we heard.
All right, well, thank you. All right, we have another demo delay, 14 Highland Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, Lisa Mead, Telling and Costa 30 Green Street, and the report on behalf of the applicant, Peter Natius, and with me is Scott, who is the architect on this project as well. This is at 14 Highland Avenue. If you go to the next slide, please. So the property is in R2 zoning district, single family structure, pre-existing non-conforming. The structure was built around 1939. Chris may remember this house. We were in here 4 or 5 years ago for a different application. You would be the only one, along with Glenn.
Same house.
Same house.
Okay.
And the then owners walked away from the project, so
Okay.
it didn't happen. The north side of Highland Avenue was actually created in 1929 by James Hartnett, who is the father of Red Hartnett, who owns Hartnett Excavation, in case anybody knows. He was a big developer here in the report in the 1920s, 1930s. So the lot that deeded out this lot that then represented a building on it was 1939. So that's the first time that a house was represented on this lot. Next slide, please. So the house has been remodeled over time. Perhaps at one time it represented kind of a cottage that existed like along Highland Avenue as that transitions up towards the hospital. But then there was this kind of second floor-ish addition put on it, but not the whole way. Probably used for storage at one time because there's actually only a 2-foot wide stairway that goes up into the back of it. The ceiling heights are low. Some of them have 6 feet, but towards the back, it drops to 4 feet 8 inches. So it's really tough. This property is not listed on the district data sheets. Next slide, please. So here it is, and you can kind of like train. On the top right, you can see that house as you go up. That's as you go up Highland Avenue towards the hospital. So there's a front porch that's enclosed, and then you have probably what was the original house, and then you've got that 2nd story addition on the back. On the top left, that's the view from the rear. These properties drop off in the back, so there's a pretty high deck in the back. And then you see the left-hand side on the bottom left-hand corner, and then the front view of that house is right there. The other thing that's interesting about this house is that it sits perpendicular to Highland Avenue, and the other houses along here sit parallel with Highland Avenue. So there's a different orientation on this house as well. Next slide, please. So we're gonna stop there, so you can take your vote as to whether there's historic significance.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Quiet today.
I mean, I have a question. I just don't know. I'm just curious about what was the previous. You said that the property's been here before.
It was much, what did you do before? So there was a lot of neighbors that were opposed to what was happening before. It was a much larger addition that's being proposed. It went out back off the footprint, and so there was a lot of.
Gotcha, okay. I don't recall it, but
Yeah.
I sort of know where we are. That's all.
All right, Well, we need to determine the historical significance, and we can do that singularly, or we can do it together, consider for preservation. I'll take either motion or more discussion or questions if you have them.
I'll make that motion,
Which what would you like to do?
for historically significant and consider for preservation.
Okay, so the motion is the structure at 14 Highland Avenue is historically significant and should be considered for preservation.
I'll second that.
Too late.
Okay, next time.
All right, so again, that motion that 14 Highland Avenue is historically significant and should be considered for preservation. Andrew?
Yes.
Let's see, sorry,
Scott,
you're next. All right, Scott.
yes.
Chris Fay,
Yes.
Alan Markey.
Yes.
Ed Norman
Yes.
and Chris Sutton.
Yes.
I vote yes as well, so that motion passes and we can continue the demolition plan.
Thank you. So I'm gonna turn it over to Scott to go from here.
Okay, great. So this is our proposed site plan, and everything that we're doing is entirely within the existing footprint of this very small house. And in the front left corner, you will see like a shaded area. That's our new proposed front entry. In the back left, there's an existing deck back there. We are planning to sort of reconfigure that in a slightly larger configuration. There is an existing single car garage in the top right corner there. And actually we think is in pretty decent condition. So really not planning to do much work, if any work, to that. Next slide, please. So next 4 slides, we have our existing elevations on the bottom, proposed elevations at the top. One of the things that was very important to me from day one in this project is to get rid of this sort of enclosed porch at the front of the existing house. This might have been open at one point in time and closed, but pretty much not a very, doesn't have a lot of depth and not a very functional space. So what we're planning to do is to remove that and replace it in more or less the same footprint with an open porch that we're seeing on sort of like the top there. This is, I think, is going to add quite a bit more curb appeal to this front, to the front of this house. We looked at a number of different roof configurations. We were aware of the history of the former project and the various iterations that went through before it got final approval. We decided to go with sort of like a front-facing gable, which matches more or less what is there now. Lisa stated like this is a little different from like the houses immediately to the left and right of it, but it's consistent with what we're seeing there now. This gable design does sort of allow us to have more efficient second floor plan because it is a very tight footprint. But what we have done is we've done our best to sort of really pull the roof lines down because we were aware that height was a major concern with the previous proposal. So we've done everything within our means to sort of bring the height of this down and pull the eaves down at in areas where we don't really need that head height inside. And in other areas, we're going sort of with a full kind of like full height wall dormer where we really need the head height. We are, as measured to the median roof line, the new design is 2 feet higher than the existing one and nearly 3 feet higher as measured to the ridge over the existing house. Next slide, please. So this is our right side elevation as you would see it from the driveway side of the house. You'll note in the center and the bottom, we are potentially trying to set up this basement for some additional square footage. So there's a casement window there, which is really intended to be sort of an egress window for a potential bedroom in the basement. Just trying to sort of maximize what we can do in this entire, this very small footprint. Top elevation to the left there, you see that open front porch on the front of the building. On the back there, you see that kind of new open deck that we're reconfiguring that I just spoke about. And at the top, we've got a kind of a full shed wall dormer in the middle. And on the ends where we can afford to lose some head height, we're pulling that down, really for aesthetics and really trying to sort of, lessen the impact of the massing. The bottom photo, it really does look like a
Train.
Frankenstein train.
Train.
Yeah, so a very, very odd house. It's with a very, very curious history. It has a lot of rooms, but it really only has one functional bedroom, which is just extremely odd to me. So next slide, please. So rear elevation, proposed elevation on the back, not a lot happening on the back. We've tried to position some of our kind of utility spaces that don't necessarily need windows on the back of the house where it doesn't matter as much. Next slide, please. And this is the house as you view it from uphill. Existing house is even worse looking from this angle. Two little odd dormers there, and proposed elevation on the top. So more of the same, kind of a symmetrical wall dormer on both sides of the house. Open front porch on the right. Next slide, please. So we did put together some street elevations, because again, we were aware that height was as it related to like the abutting structures, was a major concern with the past proposal. And this sort of really demonstrates that I think that what we've done here, at least from a scale standpoint, is kind of an appropriate, albeit different, an appropriate fit for the neighborhood. Next slide, please. City, just a look at the city, my map showing that garage in the back right corner, driveway on the right side. Next slide, please. Some neighborhood context photos. This is taken from across the street from the subject property, looking down towards the high school. Most of the houses on this side of the street, towards this end of the street, are all pretty much capes. Next slide, please. This is across the street, ranch, really the only ranch in the neighborhood. Next slide, please. These two are immediately across the street. The one in the center, I think, is directly across the street. That looks like that was built in sort of the 80s or 90s to me. And immediately to the right of that, looks like sort of a nice classic craftsman home from possibly the 30s. Next slide, please. So that's that. I think that's that house that I think is was built in the 30s. Next slide, please. Looking up the street towards the hospital, the yellow houses are immediate abutter to the left. Has an open the farmer's porch there. It's a project that we worked on a few years back. Next slide, please. And just a couple of renderings in terms of what this is going to look like. House on the right is rendered fairly, the abutting house is rendered fairly accurately. The one thing in this rendering that is not accurate, a little deceiving, is how close the abutter is to the left side. So that abutting house is about 20 feet away. The width of this house is 23 feet. So it's a little bit off. We have way more breathing room there than that rendering shows. Next slide, please. Just another view, looking up towards the hill, with that yellow house on the left. Again, this rendering is still showing a little bit too close to the, to the subject property.
That's it.
And then, we also have, 4 letters of support that I uploaded earlier today. One from either butter on either side, and then one from the next house down on the right, and one from across the street. Patrick has worked very closely with, the abutters, on this project, and so, that we'd like the board to, vote it preferably reserved and released, from the delay.
Thank you. Open up to any question or comment first.
I guess the only thing I would say is when I first, I really do appreciate the AI or whatever this is. The rendering for
It's
just,
not a.
it's not AI.
It could be.
It could, but it looks like it. But it just, for me, I really appreciate being able to sort of visualize what the actual finished product would be without the line drawings. I didn't wanna like it with the dormers.
Surprise. That's a given.
But it works, I think it works, it's modest, like, I don't know if it's called a dormer or shed. But I'd much rather see something like that in terms of giving more head space on the upper floor than maybe some of the stuff that we've looked at, so. So I appreciate you doing that.
Any other questions, comments? Now, I'll say, I think that what you've proposed is definitely an attractive building, and what's there is an odd structure. It's, I mean, I always do have the problem of, it's like, I mean, this is really just, it's demolishing the house. I mean, there's really nothing left of the old house. Whether or not we are concerned about losing that little house, that's obviously up for debate, but I think I think that the scale of what's replacing it, there's nothing troubling about it to me. Like I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with what's presented here. I'm always going back to, like, our job here is to prevent houses from being demolished. And so I would just like to pause and think of it, but.
So the plan, I forgot to mention this, I apologize, like, we are removing that front and enclosed porch in its entirety. But at the second floor level, we are removing all of the roof lines down to the second floor deck. So the plan is that we're gonna work with the existing second floor joists and all of the existing walls.
Interesting.
So that's the intent, that's the plan.
My house is in there.
Yeah, so it's not entirely taking this thing and putting it in a dumpster. So trying to work with as much as we can.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
There's something else I don't like, it says enclosed. Sort of front porch is called,
Yeah,
which become like a repository for us. Yeah, it's just an extra storage area,
Right.
this looks much nicer.
all right. And we do need to open up for a public comment. If there's anyone online, raise their hand. If there's anyone here in the room that would like to make a public comment about this particular demo delay. Not hearing any takers, so we'll close the public comment period. So I guess, yeah, we can make a motion that the structure at 14 Highland Avenue is properly be preserved. We can see how that vote goes, and we can take it from there. Anyone like to make that motion?
I make the motion, Andrew.
Thank you. Anyone for a second?
I'll second.
Each of you guys say, all right.
So we're voting to see if we wanna keep the old house.
Well, yeah, the motion is that the structure is properly preserved, yeah. That's right.
Then we have another.
If that passes.
Yep.
Okay. So the motion on the structure 14 Highland Avenue, preferably preserved. Andrew, your vote.
Yes.
You. Scott Clark.
No.
Chris Fay.
I would actually vote no.
Okay. Alan Markey.
No.
Ed Normer,
No.
Chris Autel.
No.
I'll vote yes. That's 5 nays and 2 yeas. So, motion does not pass, and you
Thank you,
on your way.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Right, 20 Pine Street. Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, yeah.
you opened both the demo delay and the DCOD review at the same time, so we can present it all together.
Yeah, we discussed that earlier. I think if you want to kind of present it all as one, and
Yeah.
then we'll do the 2 separate kind of
Okay.
votes on that.
That's great. So, again, for the record, Lisa Mead, Telling House, 30 Green Street in Newburyport, on behalf of, the Joppa Group, Blake Wilcox, the owner of the Joppa Group here with me, and Matt Langes from Scott's office, the architect on the project. And as you said, it was for 20 Pine Street, and we are here for, a demolition delay related to the larger of the 2 outbuildings, which is more than 100 years old. And then we're here for an advisory review related to the home, the house structure. So those are the 2 things that we're looking at. You go to the next slide. So, this project is in the R2 zoning district and the demolition control overlay district. Blake is proposing to remove both of the sheds, but the larger of the 2 accessory structures is more than 100 years old. And then he's proposing to renovate the home and remove these 2 additions on the home, which were built in the 1980s. And so kind of take a step back and we tell you that we're removing 49.9% of the exterior walls. But of that 49.9%, 35.4% are the 1980s additions. And that leaves actually a removal of the original structure, including some opening changes and some other overlays at 14.55%, so much less than the 25%. So I wanted to get that upfront because I think it's kind of astonishing when you see it, but when you understand what it's actually made up of, it makes a lot more sense. Next slide, please. So the primary structure was constructed in around 1881 to 1888. According to the district data sheets, it says 1870. Where it's classified as contributory, of course, and 1870 on the assessor's records, except for that when we looked at the title, it really does appear that it was constructed between 1881 and 1888. And I'm going to show you an 1872 map that does not have the house on it. And so I really think that those earlier dates were incorrect. The larger of the 2 accessory structures show up not in the 1872 map, but don't show up until like the 1914 map. So and then again on the 1924 accessory map. So the larger of the 2 accessory structures that we're proposing to remove is more than 100 years old. So if you could take that down.
Those are typos.
Yeah, there's a typo in there. It says
Really old.
11 and 9. My PDF thing went kind of crazy.
Huh.
So it's not 1100 years old. So I apologize for that. But I will tell you, right, it's the oldest property we've talked about. So the Stanwoods, who own the property now, actually have owned the property since the early 1900s. So it's been in the same family for a really long time. Next slide, please. So here's that 1872 map, and I'll just show you, Beacon Street's not on here yet, but the conservatory starts to show up, but here's Pine Street right here. And this is the last house on Pine Street, but the house that we're talking about ends up being down here approximately, but so it's not on the 1872 map. Excellent. And here's the 1914 Sanford map. So now you can see it on the right-hand side at the corner of Beacon and Pine Street. you see the long accessory structure in the back, and then you see the original footprint of the main house. And the next slide, please. That's the 1924 map, and then again, you can see the Beacon and Pine Street corner. You see the larger structure in the back, and then you see the main house. Next slide, please. And here's our mind maps, and how many of us don't like the current mind maps with those changed over, right? Let's all raise our hands. In any event, so there's a corner of Beacon and Pine, and this is what it looks like today. Next slide, please. So here's the house. This is the front elevation from Pine Street. Next slide. And here is the side elevation from Beacon Street. And you can see the later added addition with the shed roof in the back there. You kind of see the accessory structure also on the left-hand side. Next slide. And then here's the other way on looking down toward town on Pine Street. Next slide. And here's across the street as if you're at the opposite corner of Beacon and Pine. And you can see the accessory structure in the rear. Next slide. And here is the site plan. So the original house, or the house that exists today, you can see in the outline of the hatched squares. And then you can see, I'm just gonna, you can see the so here's the accessory structure we're proposing to remove, and here's the outline of the house that exists today, and here's our proposed addition on the back, and this is a proposed addition as well. You can see how this steps back importantly from the front of Pine Street.
Please, just real quickly, is the hatched area in white, are those the additions from the 80s kind of?
This,
Yes.
that's an addition from the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah. And so is one that's coming off in the back, that's shaped like that. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Matt to talk about the actual plans.
Good evening, everyone. Matt Lang, Scott Brown Architects, 48 Market Street for the record. Kayla, would you mind zooming in just a little bit more on the hotel site plan? So Pine Street's on the right, Beacon is on the lower half of the plan. The existing footprints have this 45-degree hash mark, so you can see it on the perimeter. But our proposed footprint extends about 9.5 feet toward the rear of the property. This would be towards the one of the original accessory structures. And what I would call a connector in between the main box and the proposed garage is about 10 feet in the north to south direction. And that's about 6-foot extension off the existing house before the 2-car garage. And the 2-car garage is a little bit smaller than what we would typically show for a garage on this size. So part of the project involves, removal of what is labeled as the barn and the shed in the back. But they're both in really rough shape. I would even consider them to be irreparable. The shed in the back is sitting on these sort of cracked CMU blocks. A lot of the framing in there is rotted or falling apart. And the barn is sitting mostly on dirt. So originally we always look to incorporate this the best we can, but after studying this a bit more, even the ways that we would want to incorporate it, it's just not structurally feasible. And the methods that we would normally go about that are to underpin it, but there's no foundation, so there's really nothing to underpin it to, or to lift up the structure. But there's no existing continuous second floor sill, it's not even a top floor sill or a top wall sill. So those plates are non-existent, and the majority of the structure actually on the inside, framing wise, has been replaced. So incorporating this would be an incredible challenge, and to be quite honest with you, I don't think it's possible without it potentially collapsing. We also had a structural engineer take a look at it. We do have a letter in the portal that sort of reiterates a lot of what I said and kind of expands on it, but I think it is consistent with our assessment when we went out there to take a look. So after reviewing the condition of that, we realized it was clear that there was really no reasonable preservation strategy that would allow us to incorporate this into the building program. Next slide, please. So this is the existing and proposed front elevation, existing being on top. This clear symmetry with the main box is what we're trying to preserve and has been sort of the main focus of our restoration goals. And part of that involves the removal, as Lisa mentioned, these side additions. And we're also reducing and reconstructing the existing dormer that's can be seen in the top front elevation. There are some additional changes, but most of those are sort of smaller in nature. They switching the windows to 2x2 grills. We're doing a lot of what we usually do, the historically appropriate trim package. Hardy plank siding, the traditional 4-inch exposure. We're adding a faux chimney at the top where the existing chimney is now, and eave returns that are consistent with a late 19th century vernacular. Which I maybe consider this to be like a working class Victorian cottage. So trying to bring back a lot of that aesthetic. The existing blocks of the main foundation is actually in pretty good shape, so we're going to repair that and replace the existing brick as necessary. And also going to be restoring and reusing the existing entry rooflets and brackets that are over the front door, although replacing the front door with a more historically appropriate style. And although it's technically a decrease in height because we're changing the pitch of that shed roof, the focus really was preserving and enhancing the original structure from as it's viewed from Pine Street. Next slide, please. So this is the existing left elevation on the top. You can see a better view of the visual impact of those 1980s additions. They sort of have varying roof lines and inconsistent pitches, and the majority of them actually hide what would be the original box. So our proposal to this main house, which is on the bottom, it extends that rear existing gable toward the rear of the property, which both addresses and cleans up, a lot of these first floor newer roof lines, I guess I'll say. And then in addition to changing the dormer pitch, we're also making it smaller. So we're pulling it 1.5 foot further away from Pine Street than where it is currently. So it's a little bit smaller, a little steeper, and pulled in from Pine Street. Next slide, please. So this is the right elevation. It's really tight on this side. There's only about 6 or so feet between the house and where the fence is. But this is a clearer view of the extension of the main box, and it kind of cleans up that awkward shed 80s addition on the rear that currently has a rubber roof. Next slide, please. So rear elevation here, the 1980s volume kind of overwhelms a lot of the original box as it's viewed from the rear, especially with the shallow roof conditions. So what we're proposing on the bottom drawing is to restore that main gable hierarchy and create like a clear separation between what is the historic core and what would be the new addition on the right side. The right addition, the garage, the connector, the mudroom is about 18 inches lower than the main ridge of the existing structure. The intent for that to read as secondary in nature to the historic box. Next slide, please. So this is the DCMB calculation, similar to a lot of what we've done in the past, but we're sort of at like an immediate disadvantage because of these additions, these 80s additions on the side here. So as we're viewing this of what we're touching of the existing original structure, as Lisa mentioned, it's just under about 15%. So the goal is to really restore a lot of what we think is important of the original structure of this house. Next slide, please. So 2D drawings obviously have a tendency to read very flat and not very accurately representative of how it would be perceived in reality. So we had a couple of renderings done in this sheet as well as the next sheet are a couple of views of how we think the house can show a relationship in its context. And also the relationship of the garage to the house, that is perceived very differently in the 2D drawing. So we had a couple of renderings done to show you how that would be more accurately represented. Next slide, please. So this is an alternate view, but facing, or with our back towards, the houses on the other side of Beacon Street. So again, the comparison to the garage of the existing house is smaller in nature, it's set back from the street. Has a secondary, impact to the main box. Creates creates a stronger harmony on that, the streetscape. Next slide, please. So, I did just want to say that, we do have a reduction of these additions, and although they count towards DCOD specifically or technically, I think that removal of all of those, allows the original house to be more historically legible. And, especially as it sits within this neighborhood. Historic appropriateness is something that, we try to strive for a lot, and I think that personally, that's freezing a specific moment or a detail in time, but whether or not we can continue it and have compatibility that is done through thoughtful design, and that's what I think we've done here for you tonight. As always, I can expand on what we presented or answer any questions, but would turn it back over to Lisa to continue the presentation.
Caitlin, if you could just go back to for a second, 2 slides. So I just want to just kind of go over what we're seeking for the advisory review, of course, for the DCOD. As the significance of the building itself relative to the ownership, as I said, the Stanwoods have actually owned this since the late 1800s, early 1900s, same family. It was until the 1980s that footprint essentially remained the same. And what we're trying to do is restore that original footprint as it appears from Pine Street and even from Beacon Street. As you look down, I think you're being able to see much more of that original box, as Matt has said. There are a couple of other similar homes along Pine Street on the south side. We're gonna have some photos in a minute. Everything on the other side of Pine Street is relatively newer. Of course, you have that the apartments across the street. So it's really the south side of Pine Street that we're looking at. There's a couple of other similar homes along Pine Street, but there is an eclectic mix of homes for sure along Pine Street. As Matt noted, he was careful to set the garage back away from the front of the house and have it smaller in height, so it doesn't take away from the house itself. And given the proposed location of the garage from either direction, it's clearly relatively subordinate to the original form of the original home. And then if I could just talk about the accessory structure for a minute. So if you can go to 2 more slides, then Caitlin, back to toward the other. Yeah, there we go. There you go, right there. So as Matt said, I did upload today, and I have, for those of you who didn't get it, I have an extra copy. We did have a structural engineer take a look at the accessory structure relative to, the condition it is, because we make representations about it, but I thought it would be important to have a third party go in and take a look at it. And, essentially, as Matt indicated, it's largely been modified internally for repairs over the years. There's little to no foundation that exists for the structure. Structures on pressure treated sill, and in the rear, it's held up by CMU blocks. About 40% of the structure, including the ceiling joists, rafters, and sheathing, have been replaced. And that's likely due to the rot and water damage over the years. The flooring is a mixture of pavers, wood flooring, and a partial slab. The entire shed is leaning towards the abutting property. We're going to see that in a minute when I go through the photographs. Leaning towards the abutting property, the roof has a significant dip in it as well, and the siding is peeling away, and most of the corner boards have been replaced and or are rotted. Lisa O'Donnell, who is the structural engineer who looked at it, she basically said the same thing. But in the end, she said portions of this structure, framing, or foundation that are reasonably salvageable. No portion of this structure, framing, or foundation are reasonably salvageable or are of any value. So that was her conclusion in her letter. So if you go to the next slide then. So here, we'll just run through some photographs. I'm gonna have Matt pipe in on some of these because he, took a lot of these photographs. So here it is from, Beacon Street, next slide. And, here's from the inside of the property. Next slide. And you just keep going, if you don't mind. So here's between the two, and you can kind of see how the door is out of whack because of the tilt in the building. Next slide. And then here's the small shed, but then you're looking out towards Beacon and you can see how it's leaning to the property to the right. And there's the siding coming off, peeling off. And Matt, I'm gonna let you take him through the inside photographs.
Yeah, so a lot of the, excuse me, the inside material on the floor is just kind of a mixture of whatever it feels like they could find in the day. Part of it is a patio, part of it is somewhat of a slab, but it all kind of dies into an existing wood sill that's sitting on the ground. So it's pretty inconsistent with what you know, you would normally find of a structure that was either moved or built, you know, what I would say appropriately. Next slide, please. So this is just some examples of some rot, some termite damage, and as we continue down the slides, you'll see that there's a lot of existing framing that has either been replaced or kind of like scabbed onto in order to reinforce it. Next slide, please. It's one of the original windows. It's actually in pretty decent shape, but there's some holes underneath it where there's evidence of the sills that are rotted out. Next slide, please. So this is an example of one of the existing rafters that has been kind of added onto. That piece on the left is newer framing. It kind of looks like it's been almost chewed at, part of the existing framing there. So definitely some damage going on. Next slide. Same thing, a lot of damage too. This is one of the main rafters that sort of is maybe at like a 2 foot or 3 foot on center spacing with was drastically undersized from or not consistent with what we would obviously do today. Next slide, please. And it's very hard to photograph a lean, but it's very visible when you're on site. A lot of the existing sheathing, and I guess what you can call the siding is peeling on the back, but there's a significant lean to the entire property that leans towards the neighbor at the rear. So any kind of modification to this would be a significant challenge that again I don't think is a feasible idea. Next slide, please. So again, this is just some photos underneath of what it's currently sitting on. There's either nothing or some stacked block, some cracked CMU that has been there over time and probably heaving as well. Next slide, please. This has some of that CMU block underneath or some portion of foundation. It's like the only real concrete or CMU block that we found when we were out there. Next slide, please. And the shed in the back just kind of sits on dirt. It's a kind of a mishmash of what's out there, honestly. Next slide. Here's a photo of one of the sills that's sitting on the dirt. You can obviously see some damage there. Next slide, please. This is sitting on wood, but I believe it's also a block underneath one of the main supports in there. Next slide, please. And then what they've done to sort of like reinforce this is to, or maybe even get more storage actually, is to kind of like tie these braces onto the rafters, but add 2x on either side of the rafters to kind of reinforce what they're hanging. So they're hanging ceiling, and then reinforcing it with new lumber, most of which, is I would say maybe 40% of the existing has already been replaced. Next slide, please. So these are new ceiling joists in there that obviously have either replaced what was there or have been added at some time. Obviously after the structure was built. Next slide, please. I gotta be honest, I don't remember where this photo is. A lot of this obviously is evidence of deterioration of the structure. So I
think we get, yeah.
Structure. So
You can go on to the end.
next slide, please. Yeah. That's
So here are the neighborhood photos. So this is looking down Pine Street towards town, and you can see the different styles of houses exist, obviously. Next slide. And then that's a little bit further down. It was really cold this day that I took these photographs, so they're not the greatest. And this is further on down, Pine Street. As is this. And then this is across the street, the apartments that are across the street. With that, we request that the board, give a positive advisory opinion to the zoning board, related to our proposed, DCOD, removal. And then, authorize, vote that the shed is historically significant, but not properly preserved.
Thank you. Well, I guess I'll just first open up to questions and flip the board for any of the two things we're voting on.
I have a question. What is this size of the garage?
It's 22 by 23.
And if I could ask, did you explore creating a driveway turning at 90 degrees?
We did, but we thought that a better approach would be to maintain the existing driveway that's there now. Not create, I think there's some sort of version of a curb cut on Beacon, but the goal was to preserve that front. Throughout the, the entire project on the Beacon.
Beacon's really busy. Summertime, there's a lot of traffic there, so trying to keep traffic off of Beacon and onto Pine Street where you get less traffic. Kind of makes sense to you.
It also sort of gives the potential owners a bit more yard space. If we were to cut the driveway through that side yard, it kind of separates a portion of the front yard that I don't think is very large enough to be utilized well. So a number of factors, but.
Yeah, and I will only add to that, historically, that's been a yard, and if you've ever been up and down Beacon Street in the summertime, Stan Woods and a group of folks used to hang out there all the time, and even in like really chilly weather and have a fire going, and they would just hang out there, telling stories, right? So it's always been kind of a yard space to use and not have a driveway in. Sometimes they pitch like a tent kind of thing and sit under it.
We can, I guess we could open up for public comment too.
Oh, I would say, but while you're doing that, Mr. Chair, we did receive 5 letters of support, which have been uploaded as well.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for you to weigh in on the plan.
Anyone online? If they're, okay, anyone here like to make a public comment?
Sure.
All right, if you give your name and address for the record.
My name is David Berlin. I live at 24 Beacon Avenue. So we are, where that structure is leaning in a direction, it's leaning towards our property. And so, a few things, just, out of curiosity, so Lisa's correct. I'm guilty of being one of those people that hung out on the yard with Stan Woods, the brothers, drinking beers and stuff.
I didn't make any aspiration.
And in the winter, sometimes they would, they had a book stove inside that structure, and we would go in there while the Patriots game played on a little transistor radio. So the family, as she pointed out, has been there forever. The Sandwoods have been in the town forever, so but that structure that's leaning in our direction, and the other one that's just behind it, which they're, I think, referring to as a shed. Those two structures are eyesores to everybody that lives in the neighborhood. And so the fact that they're proposing the removal of those will open up some space, some kind of air things out a little bit in a way that right now we feel kind of closed in by the backside of that shed on our property. And most notably, we've worked with very closely with Blake. Blake originally approached us and said, here's hi, I'm Blake, and I'm going to be I hope to redo this property, and here's what he had in mind. And so we've been through a couple of revisions as he's worked with us, which of course we wish the other builders in the neighborhood did, but didn't. So we really like the fact that he's collaborated with us. And made some revisions, not only to, some of the, structure, like the windows and stuff, but also the landscaping, which to us would be pretty important, like the, you know, where that shed's coming out. It'd be nice to still one thing the shed does do is it gives some privacy, but it's not the best provider of privacy aesthetically speaking, so. Anyway, we're very much in favor of what they're doing. I know that's of limited value when you're talking about the historic, when we're talking to this group, but, and maybe more to the zoning board, but, we still, be, very satisfied with how the process has gone so far and, what's gonna go in place of, what's gonna go there now.
I would say from a historical perspective, like,
Identify yourself.
oh, I should have also the thing. From a historical perspective, I think it'll actually improve things. Like just looking at what he created, or what the design looks like and what's there right now and what will be retained.
More historically.
Yeah, a little.
And also the other thing that you're correct about is when anything started to fall apart on that shed, he was a hoarder of lumber and he would just grab whatever he could find and repair it with that. So yes, it was a patchwork or the floor, whatever it may be, that's exactly how it went, so.
Well, thank you. Any other public comment? Yeah, all right. Well, I'll throw this back to the commissioners. You can, we've got two things, obviously. One, let's start with the, if you wouldn't mind, we can take the accessory structure. And we can make a motion that the structure is the accessory structure is historically significant. We can tie that with considered for preservation. We can see how that votes. Either way, if anyone would like to make a motion.
I made a motion.
Okay.
That, the structure is historically significant, the side structure.
Okay, and so you want to just do just historically significant for that?
Yeah,
Okay.
and.
Sure. All right, so the motion is the accessory structure at 20 Pine Street is historically significant. Anyone seconds that?
I second that.
Thank you. That was Ed, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Or doing this, sorry. All right, motion that the accessory structure at 20 Pine Street is historically significant. Andrew?
No.
Scott?
No.
Chris Fay?
No.
Alan Marquis?
No.
Ed Normer?
No.
Chris Sutton?
No.
I'll vote no as well. All right, so motion fails to pass, so you're all set for that. Now I guess we can. Well, is there any, well, look, I guess we'll go back now to the main structure. Any comments, questions about the original structure and the plans for around that? And keeping in mind that this, because this is a DCOD review, we're basically just going to be making a motion that probably me will write a recommendation, but we're looking at solely the historical significance of the structure and its importance on the block.
Could I ask you, could you go to the perspective view, the second one?
It is interesting from this view. It almost makes it look like the roof lines are closer to height than it does from the other view. But as we mentioned before, I do appreciate being able to see these because I mean, my first reaction from seeing one of the elevations, it looks almost like you took the plan and went, you
across the page.
Yeah, they were all up to, yeah, that's why the flat drawings are really tough. These elevate, these renderings are important.
Any other? Anyone?
Well, I just thought, so is this view, it does make the garage seem much larger than the previous slide. The previous slide seems like it's a cute little garage.
Well,
Which are we looking at?
let's go to the elevation so you can see the heights.
Okay. But the drawing, yeah,
Right.
drawings. Okay, I'll try.
Yeah, I think what's deceiving is just how far back the push from the garage is set back from the original house. I mean, height wise, it's about 18 inches from the main ridge to the existing house to where the ridge is of the garage. So it is a decrease, but I think that, one of the important reasons why we thought it was good to show the renderings is because it's not viewed this way ever, and it's viewed in perspective.
Right.
It is going to feel smaller as you're driving down Pine Street, and it is going to feel bigger as you're driving down Beacon Street. It's kind of why we want to show both ways, honestly. But it's definitely more of I think, an accurate representation of how it will be seen in reality. The 2D drawings are.
I have a comment. Says on the plans that the existing square footage right now is 1,361. Proposed square footage is 2,451. That's 91.92% increase of square footage. That's a lot.
It's a big lot. It's one of the big, and you can still see all the open space. So it's one of the biggest lots.
I understand
in
that.
the area.
Caitlin, can we go to the, which would be the west elevations? All right, there's top is the original, and the bottom is proposed. And keep it in context with historical structure, how does the bottom one stay in contact with this? You know what I mean? It's like.
So part of what, the goal with this project, obviously, we're talking about these 1980s editions. If we were to just extend that over the 1980s edition, which those two, although there's a corner board that looks like it separates, they're maybe an inch apart in plane. So they're very much in line with each other. It's the additional extension is about 9 feet beyond that first floor addition. So I think, this view, I think it just tends to look, in my opinion, worse than it is. The existing box is very small in depth. So our goal was to preserve the view of that from the front, but also expand off the existing character that's there. We didn't feel like it was appropriate to drop it or to raise it. We felt like it made the most sense to continue it. And I really didn't want to come with another dormer. So we sort of avoided that at the expense of this, looking a bit longer on this elevation.
I do think that, if I were to find problem with the design, I think that is. That's one of the elevations that gave me pause. I think mostly because there is no way for a future person to tell that where that original kind of footprint lives. And it looks like it was always that long. And I do almost feel like if there was even just that inch setback and that roof line dropping down, so that it was obvious that back part was different, it might read differently, but I think I get that it's very small, so you can tell space, it's something bigger, but I think that's what's problem for me is that it's the massing is pretty dramatic.
Are you looking at that wall? I mean, is there, or is
Yeah, I've spoken with them, building elevations actually signed off.
Yeah, they've supported, they're one of the letters of support.
Perspective,
Yeah, you see
it's like there's
foliage or whatever?
Yeah, there's a 6-foot fence there, and there's some there's some mature trees here as well, so I think that's where the butters are on this side here. They really were like, we're not gonna see it,
Okay.
we're really gonna feel it, especially in the summertime, there's some good coverage there.
There's also a driveway in between as well, so it's about, maybe 5 or 6 feet to the fence, and then, maybe about a 12-foot driveway, for the next property.
You see the original gable box, is it like 20 by 20 or, I mean, it's gotta be tiny, it's tiny. Four by 20.
Yeah, I mean, the garage width is about 22 or 23 feet wide, so it's a little smaller than that, actually. I think the width on the outside is just over 20 feet. So, I would say about 20 by 25 feet, which is a relatively small footprint to sort of, cram any living space in. Yeah, that would be my question.
I think in terms of consistency over the years or whatever, we've always wanted to see some differentiation
Yeah.
between the original structures, as Chris, I think, said, or this, I can't remember which, so that there's not confusion about where the historic structure begins and ends and where the addition does.
Yeah,
This is just, to me, it's too solid.
Yeah, I kind of agree with it.
Is there a way to bring it in as a suggested, step it down without losing really any significant height or width?
Yeah, I mean, I think, maybe one of the disadvantages here is we didn't have the floor plans, but I think that would be a relatively easy change. Where that window is, I think that, just to the left of that, is the start of like a family room. So basically from a little bit left of that window, all the way to the right, I think we can sort of kick in and just drop the roof line pretty easily. It's interesting, every time you folks bring up some interesting thoughts that kind of make me sort of second guess some of the original intention that I had here, but the intent was to sort of have like this continuation of what I thought would be, the original historic fabric, and we're sort of maintaining that, but I can totally understand that argument.
You want the step to carry through the roof as well?
I'm sorry,
You want that step to sort of carry through the roof line as well, or just on the wall? I'm just thinking right now, with all the ice dams that are happening, right now roofs are sort of in the forefront of my concern of everything.
Yeah, multiple roof lines can be a problem, but I do see the benefit of having some sort of visual break up there. I think is.
Yeah, I think ideally, I mean, from my perspective, as a non-professional, that's like bring it in. Yeah, I'm just thinking like we were just talking about, like my house is a federal, as we saw earlier. It's a box. They added, it's stepped in, and then the kitchen is stepped in even further. So I think that's fairly consistent throughout the city when people, they wanted to sort of preserve that. So ideally, for me, it would come in and be a little, the roof line would
Yeah,
drop down.
drop the roof line a little bit.
Yeah,
inside.
without losing any,
Yeah, so
Because
we'll look at that before we go to the ZBA.
Except I think it's the combination of that elevation and then that rear really long elevation that to me is like you're losing, and I get it from the front, it's like, oh, you still got that little house there, but from I feel like from the other sides, it's kind of gone. So if that could be addressed, I think a lot of sounds like most of our concerns are pretty well.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, look, anyone wants to make a motion to have the chair write a recommendation?
Yeah, I'll make that.
Somehow that motion is coming easy, huh? All right, motion for the chair to write a letter of recommendation, recommendation, what's it called? Advisory, thank you. For the structure 20 Pine Street. Anyone would like to second that, please?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Andrew
Yes.
and Scott,
Yes.
Chris Fay,
yes.
Marquis,
Yes.
Ed Normer,
Yes.
Chris Sattel,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes as well. All right. All
Thank
set
you.
there. Thank you so much. All right. That concludes our demolition delays and.
Dormers on the garage, because the garage is weird. I love the garage.
Right.
Yeah, but it's different.
Everybody was, yeah, I think mine, yeah, I would.
We'll get these folks emails here.
But I respect the fact that it's like, they've got a pretty decent yard there and.
Yeah.
Sure.
I used to live in Marbury, those streets. There's a lot of houses around it, you know, that has been like 30 years.
All right, we're moving on to general business folks. We have, several PRs, we have new legal counsel, is that the case?
Yeah.
Okay, so, several of these are going to be looked at again, by the new council, so there's not much for us to do right now. But I did want to take the time if there's, I know, Chris and I spoke earlier about, specifically the public libraries, preservation restriction, but, we can go through these just real quickly if anybody has comments or questions. Hopefully you've at least kind of thumb through them and look to see what was in there. Chris and I talked about the adding, right now there's nothing, there's descriptions of interior things in the library, but there's nothing that's being protected under the PR as it's currently written to protect anything inside the library. And we kind of both were talking that it would be good to maybe find out what's in there that we would want to save, since it is a public building and there's probably some pretty nice architectural interior details that would be worth saving and adding to this.
Yes.
And there's some discussion about maybe trying to get together a visit with some historical folks that could give us some more information about the building and take a look, and I could even catalog some of the interior stuff.
Driving this.
Well, so they need a preservation restriction based off of an old request for money from the CPC. And anytime in the CPC stuff, they have to get a preservation restriction.
I think they're doing some work in the reading room.
I think
It's about to begin.
I don't know if that was part of the CPC funding, but in any regards, they are basically behind due of getting this preservation restriction. So we're trying to move it along, but as I said, I think it'd be important if we can get this interior stuff added. So we're gonna try to coordinate a time for us, as many of us, to go down there. I mean, I'm sure all of us have been in the library at least once or twice, hopefully. But I wasn't going in there with the intention of looking at architectural.
I think it's a noble thing to do. I'm in there once a month. And it's a nice interior. If you actually go to some of isn't Amesbury filed for something for their library? But if you've been to some of these others, they're not well kept. You've been to Amesbury Library?
No.
It's not easy to navigate.
Yeah.
What? It's tight. I mean, some of the stairways. So I think Newburyport, I think it's too small, but nothing's gonna happen there, but it's very nice.
Yeah. Well, so we're gonna work on that, and hopefully we can get enough of us over there and we can add to that. And I'm maybe gonna take a crack at trying to craft some of the language in there.
If you're not already familiar, what we're looking at is, it was the Tracy Mansion, which was built, in 1770s, I believe. And there's still a lot of architectural detail from the 18th century still inside there.
In the library.
In the library.
Yeah, no, it's.
And like in the director's room, some there, the reading room, some there too. Well, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in, we're gonna get some of these things identified.
Yeah.
And bring a historian with us, that's very familiar with the property. Together with the president of the Museum of Old Newbury, to look at stuff. There's also other things when the library was remodeled around 1865. Is when they put in like these monster staircases and grand woodwork and everything. And a lot of that's still existing today. We're gonna think about doing that preservation restriction.
Good.
So there's quite a bit actually to look at, and a site visit might be a really good idea.
And then, I mean, not much, I don't think much to comment on as far as the firehouse. For 38 Forester. Do we have the folks here? Okay, great. Oh, great, thank you. Yeah, if you can give your name and address for the record, and we can begin discussing this one.
Absolutely. So my name is Michael Manzi, and my wife Aaliyah Manzi is also on the call. The address is 38 Forester. This is the old Courier house, I believe built in 1860s or 70s. And we are here to request the ability to replace the windows on the third floor. We reached out. One faces the street, and the other faces the rear of the house. And we have reached out to Pella as well as Anderson, who have both provided us with quotes, I believe, that are attached. One is a Pella Historic Reserve, which is their highest end, most historic. No, it's not this one, actually. There must be another one. This is the original that we had sent over. Yes. So I believe this is the Anderson one, I believe. I thought this one was sent to us today with an email that said this was approved. I talked to somebody in the Historic Commission. I don't know how real that is or not. However, the other.
That did not happen.
Yeah, I figured as much. This sounds like a sales guy, right? So, ultimately, but we have the other quote, which I wish could be here because we have another quote for the Pella Reserve, Pella Historic Reserve. It is 3D muttons. It is true divided light. And so we are looking to just have it approved to have the 3D muttons of the true divided light, same 6x6 pattern window. But I believe the quote should be in there. And apologies for not being there. But it is if you can also Google it. It's just called the Pella Historic Reserve, not the Lifestyle. No, it's not the Lifestyle yet. It's the Pella Historic Reserve.
Is that in your building permit application?
Yes, and I can put the link to it in the chat in right now if that's an option available. If it's not, I totally understand.
Hold up. I'll continue to talk if you want.
Okay, wonderful. Let me just double check before I send it over. Yep, there it is. Okay, wonderful. Copy link, and it's coming your way in the chat. Oh, actually, I don't think I'm able to send it in the chats.
Can you see the screen right now?
Yes.
This is the one you're talking about. Pella Reserve traditional replacement.
Yep.
This is the building permit application.
Yes, this is the one. Pella Reserve traditional replacement double hung 32.5 by 52.5 white.
Okay, and these are you're looking to replace basically the two the attic third level windows that are right in the top.
Yeah, exactly. They're.
And what are the current windows that are there? Are those? I thought those were original windows that were on the third floor.
They were originally original. We actually got in a pickle where the Pella, was it Pella, Aaliyah? I can't remember. The windows needed to be replaced immediately. There was wind coming in. There was mold issues, I believe. So we needed to remove the windows immediately upon entering the house, basically. So being new homeowners, we weren't sure what to do. And so we had the Pella guy come. He looked around the neighborhood. He said, "You guys are good to go." So we put two windows in. So now, though, we realize that those windows are not the correct windows. So amongst some snarky emails back to Pella, we are now trying to get the correct windows in. We could never have kept the originals anyways. They were wood and ripping off the wall, essentially. So we're trying to rectify an issue that we did incorrectly the first time.
Okay.
When did you change these windows?
I'm gonna estimate June of 25. That's right when we moved in.
What's the PR done for this? When is it finalized? Do we know?
But the backyard, right.
Yeah, if you remember, I think it's Blue Water purchased the property and then they built another property on Stanley Street, which actually makes this on the same area.
We've seen that.
These are also outdated photos of the house. Like they took the siding off the house since these photos.
Yeah, because this siding is not historic.
Yeah. So this is like not, yeah, I would say these are outdated.
Well, these are in the preservation restriction.
I have a question. The windows that were taken out and the new ones that were put in, do you still have those windows?
We do not have those windows. I mean, there was cracks in the glass as well as the wood was, I mean, we could basically just pull them right out.
Just so, I think we've had this conversation before, just so you're aware, so there's a pending PR on this property and it's, almost complete. So changes are listed in the back of it. So you need to, changes like this, you need to come before the historical commission.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, this is a complete, that's why we're here today. Literally the windows we're looking to get are around $6,000 or $7,000 a window. And we are happy to do that in exchange for being able to be up to code, because the reason we moved to Newburyport was the same reason you guys are here in the commission.
Here's a question for you. When you were talking about the windows, I couldn't exactly see the details of the windows themselves. When you say that the true divided light, is that the same as authentic divided lights?
So it's interesting when we've been in serious discussions with everybody because this company calls it LDL, this company calls it TDL, this company calls it ILT. However, with confirmation from the company, as well as doing some of our own research on it, the ILT is true divided light. So true, authentic, I can't confirm, the semantics of it, but from what the companies state, this is their only true divided light window. And it's specifically for towns like this in Marblehead.
I mean, each 6/6 sash has its own individual panes of glass.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. It's not one pane of glass with something on top. It is six panes of glass.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah. Thank you.
And the material is wood. It's not clad in aluminum or anything.
That's my understanding. Yep.
Extracted white. Why would it be white if it was wood?
Sometimes they're primed. And they come. I got mine.
I don't.
Exterior.
Yeah, can we have that? Sorry, Kate.
Right.
When you go to the website, it states here, your historic renovation, new construction or replacement requires a traditional wood double hung window. This window proves uncompromised attention to detail, blah, blah, blah. So it looks like indeed it is wood to my understanding. Materials are pine, unfinished mahogany, and Douglas fir.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it's right, but I'm worried that we don't have, like, I also don't want you guys to buy a whole another set of windows that isn't right. I'm curious.
I'm almost
Is there a window you guys have approved historically that we can try to find? Because we we've spent so much time going back and forth with Pella and Anderson and others, and none of them have heard of any window outside of this window that does what is required. So if you guys have a suggestion, we would love to hear it.
Yeah,
I imagine we're not the only people to change windows, so maybe you.
no.
Let's see.
But I mean, you know, this, I mean, even houses that have existing houses that have pre-existing preservation restrictions, we would allow a simulated divided line. I mean, nobody's paying $6,000 a window.
No, not unless it was like handmade by somebody, and even
Yeah, I
that.
mean, this is a house on the floor, it's not like it's, you know, it's not like we're talking about the museum of Newbury, you know.
No, it's more about the fact that the preservation restriction is there.
Yeah, exactly. That's the issue that we're having is that, it's like things were done in reverse. It should have come before the commission when there's a preservation restriction. And, you know, we should be able to go on from there. And the fact that is the opposite, I think is, I think we're gonna get some
You need samples.
advice on that, to tell you the truth.
Yeah,
So that nobody's, purchasing unnecessary windows or anything and maybe go from there, I think.
Yeah, guys, a third apology, honestly, so sincerely. We're young and trying to figure this out.
right. No, and we're trying to kind of figure out how to navigate this as well.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm biased, but I of course prefer these windows versus the ones that are there now, which is this SDL. And all of our neighbors have the same SDL where the grill is inside the window, and it's very clearly not historic. So we're hoping to be much more close to that historic bit. We actually loved that you guys required the builder to change the siding to the wood because it changed the complete look of the house, and so we're trying to just keep the same, buddy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it's new information that we know that they're not there anymore, the originals, so maybe you'd want to continue to the next meeting to absorb that new information.
Sure, yeah, I think we gotta get some advisement,
Yeah,
I mean, don't we want to make sure that they're not getting the code GBG, which is grilled between the glass. That's the stuff you look at, that's very,
it's,
yeah, that's, you know, but I mean, simulated divided light is, you know, that's most of what we're seeing in Newburyport.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
You're not talking about like removable grills, you're just talking about things that
No,
are
it's
attached.
applied to a single sheet of glass.
Yeah.
You know,
If you want to do it, you can do it, right? But
I don't think you know, it seems crazy to me that
I make a motion that we
$6,000
continue this.
window for some.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion is to move this to our next meeting to allow us to do a little more research and make sure that we're making the right choices here. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Is there anything I can provide you guys with to help you in that research process?
Yeah, if you have, I guess, like if they can send us picture samples or anything like that.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think narrow it down to one option that you want the commission to consider, because I think there's a few options posted, and then you sent me another one today. So just
Yeah,
the one
it's
option
definitely
that-
the traditional historical, but I'll nail into that, and I'll get you guys everything I possibly can from them so that it's easy to say yes or no.
Okay,
Excellent.
And the next meeting is
Beautiful.
February 26th. Does that work for you?
I'll make it work. Can't wait to see you guys.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Interesting stuff. We can move on. All right. All right, where are we at here? Updates from me? Oh, no, wait, no, we got no correspondence. Is there anything from correspondence? Okay. Approval of the minutes, hopefully. We took a look at the minutes from January 22nd, I believe. Anyone on, any comments, questions on that? Otherwise, motion to approve the minutes of January 22nd.
I know.
Okay, second. Andrew. Okay. All right, motion to approve the minutes of January 22nd, 2026. Andrew?
Yes.
Scott?
Yeah.
Chris?
I'll abstain, I wasn't there.
Oh, okay. Alan Markey?
Yes.
Ed?
Okay.
Chris?
Yes.
I vote yes as well, so that passes. All right. Well, next up, I guess, I thought about whether we wait, but I think we have essentially, we have full with our alternates. We could make a motion to nominate and elect a chair from its membership for the ensuing calendar year. Anyone who would like to make a motion, we can get a.
I make a motion
Okay.
for two of you. No, just the chair, or
Well, you can,
can we both
it's your,
at the same time?
Sure, if
Yeah,
you'd like
let's
to.
both at the same time
okay,
for the 18.
so, so Andrew's made a motion to approve, both myself, Mouse, and Chris Eisnell to be the chair and vice chair for the next year, for the ensuing calendar year. Is that
I second that motion.
okay? All right, Andrew,
Yes.
Scott?
Yep.
Chris Fay?
Yep.
Alan Markey?
Oh, yes.
Ed Normer?
Yes.
Chris Sutton?
I accept.
And sure, I'll vote yes as well.
No.
You guys-
What have I done? Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I do believe we have to, do we need to send a letter? I think part of the thing is that when there's new election, we're supposed to send a letter. Is that something that you guys do?
No, I don't think so. It's captured in the minutes.
Okay.
For letters in the past.
Okay. All right, I think we're near the end unless anybody has some.
Want to talk about this?
Oh, sure.
Caitlin, want to talk about police?
Oh, yeah, you wanna make the
Yeah,
announcement?
we, planning department has secured, funds that everyone's gonna get one of these.
Oh,
Okay, it's actually property of the cities, and when you're done with your commission, you have to turn them. Okay, and what this is Secretary of Standards, that we have to know this. We have to understand how it works. I'm getting pretty good with this now. Once everyone gets a copy, we can either go meet for coffee downtown or maybe after a meeting, start going on piece by piece. There's a couple other bulletins that I was gonna talk to Andy Port about getting. This is the one determining historical significance for the National Register, which is what this is used for. So this stands to be going together. This one here. And then there's another one, streetscapes, but let's do one thing at a time. But anyway, these should be coming sometime soon,
I
right?
think sometime soon, probably before your next meeting.
Yeah. This was courtesy of Planning Department. Jared Eigenman pushed it and said like, we have to have these. So.
Yeah, and you know, I'll say, and I've spoken before about it, but like when we get into the weeds with a lot of these things, I think it's when you know that we've got these things laid out for us, that we can go back to it and just say,
yeah.
you know, it's like when we were discussing the dormers and saying, our guidance is that it shouldn't be this big,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be this way. And so that it's not, we're not coming from like, well, I just don't like it. And I'm, you know, it's coming from a place of fact and from good reason. So I'm glad we're gonna get these, and I've read through a lot of it online, but it's way better to have. Way better to have a book. Then you can make your own little covers for them, like in school if you want. But yeah, thanks.
Oh, and also, there's talk about possibly of having, Jared Eigenman come in maybe once every 6 months, once every year, go over anything that's newest going on with ordinances, talking with us, about historical commission stuff.
And who is Jared Eigenman?
He wrote the ordinances.
Oh.
That's in Newburyport.
Oh, what?
He penned them, he negotiated them, put a lot of time and effort into it. He's the guy that, I spoke to him a few days ago, and the ordinances, they're really well thought out. And, with ordinances, sometimes it goes up to interpretation, he'll actually tell you why it is this way, and there's very particular reasons for it, you know? And so when I spoke to him, I said, you know, would you like to come in one time? He said, of course. So I figured once we get fees down, whatnot, then once every 6 months, once every year, you volunteer to come in and talk to us. Because, we need to know this stuff up and down. That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Questions? Anyone want to entertain a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Scott Clark made a motion to adjourn and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And it passes, and we're adjourned. Thank you all.
Or should I add?
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.